Hello, everybody. This is Sezgi, and I'm with Marlon today, who's a Black Mesa student. Hi, Marlon.
Hi.
So he's going to take us through this amazing deep dive he did on Coinbase. He put it together, the flow, everything, what he wrote. He checked through multiple LLMs, cross-checked due diligence, validation. He even went to 10K, 10Qs of the companies and the website, as well as investment pages like, websites like Seeking Alpha. So great job, Marlon. We all look forward to listening to you through this podcast. You ready?
Yep.
All right, so start first of all with the Coinbase as a company.
So Coinbase is a big company that helps people buy and sell cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum. It started in 2012, and even though it used to have an office in San Francisco, now everyone works remotely.
Mhm.
Last year, they made over $6.6 billion.
Mhm.
And they even bought another big crypto company called Deribit. And they also invested in cool projects like OpenSea. They also worked with PayPal and even Riot Games, the people behind League of Legends.
Oh, the League of Legends and the Riot games. Of course, I know them, and I use PayPal, of course, day to day in my transactions.
Mhm. My uncle used to use PayPal, and yeah, I play League of Legends, and it's a great game.
Okay, great. So now let's move to mission, vision, and the core values. You wrote a lot of great stuff here. Why don't you summarize it for us with your own words?
So Coinbase is one of the top crypto companies in the world,
Mhm.
and its mission is to give people more economic freedom through digital money. Their vision is to build an open financial system
Mhm.
where anyone, anywhere, can use crypto to send money fast, spark innovation, and have a fair shot at success.
Mhm.
They care a lot of helping customers, communicating clearly, and getting things done really well and really fast.
Yeah, I hear you, and I believe what you're saying because I used to use Coinbase when I was in the United States, and I can tell you they really uphold those values that you're referring to.
I agree.
Anybody in your family use Coinbase?
Yep, my father used to.
Great. All right, now let's move to the key products of Coinbase. And why don't you get us started with the Coinbase Basic?
So Coinbase Basic is the regular app most people use. It lets you buy, sell, and hold crypto, like Bitcoin using regular money. It's super beginner friendly.
So what's so special about then Coinbase One, and why would people upgrade from Coinbase Basic to Coinbase One, in your opinion?
While Coinbase One has a monthly subscription, but you get zero trading fees,
Mhm.
faster customer support, and extra rewards when you stake your crypto. It's kind of like a VIP pass.
Who do you recommend to upgrade or subscribe to Coinbase One in this case?
It's best for frequent traders who will benefit highly from zero trading fees.
Yeah, because those frequent traders, the more they trade, those commissions and those fees keep stacking up. So I believe it's a good deal for them. Okay, so last but not least, talk to me more about Coinbase Advanced, the third product.
Actually, Coinbase Advanced is better suited for serious traders. It has powerful tools like limit and stop orders, better charts, at lower fees, and more trading pairs.
Great. So I'm gonna later on ask you, of course, questions about what are those things, but why don't we just take a step back and talk about the right side of this chart, which is about the revenue streams. So why don't you tell us about the revenue streams of Coinbase and how each segment contributes? Because they're not only
Okay,
making money from trading fees, right?
Exactly. They have what's called subscription and services revenue.
Hmm.
And it's become a big deal. It's like Coinbase's steady paycheck, even when crypto prices go crazy.
Nice. Now walk us through the biggest slice. Start with the biggest slice, please.
Stablecoin revenue,
Uh-huh.
44.5%. That's the biggest one. Almost half of all service revenue comes from stablecoins, mostly USDC.
USDC is the stable coin that they co-created with Circle, right?
Yup, they earn money from the interest on the reserves and from how much people use it.
Mhm.
Think of like Coinbase having a super safe coin that just keeps making money in the background.
Cool. And next up,
Staking rewards. Over 26% of revenue. Users lock up their crypto like Ethereum, and Coinbase takes a small cut from the rewards. It's kind of like a commission for helping you earn passive income.
yeah, staking is a smart play, especially when you look at the passive income and the platform loyalty all in one. That's a great strategy.
And then there is interest income, which is around 13.5%.
Mhm.
Basically, Coinbase earns interest on cash and stablecoins they hold.
So when people just leave money on Coinbase, the company earns from it, you mean?
Pretty much. And
Mhm.
right now, the, with high interest rates, this is a nice boost.
And what about this other revenue category that is large, actually?
That's like the mystery box. Could be things like licensing tools or custom services. It's around 10%, but we don't get full details.
I'm sure if we can find out if we wanted to, if we just dig a bit more details. But and lastly,
Custodial fees, about 5.4%. That's when big companies and institutions pay Coinbase to safely store their crypto.
makes sense. As more institutions come in, especially now with the Bitcoin ETF approved, this place could really grow fast. So I can see that they're very good at optionality. They have a lot of optionality, and that creates a very strong foundation to build on for the company like Coinbase. So it's really, really promising. So back to the question that I wanted to ask you, Marlon. Can you explain what are the limit and stop orders, please, for us?
Okay, so a limit order is when you tell the system only buy or sell this crypto if the price hits exactly what I want.
Mhm.
For example, if Bitcoin is $110,000 and you want to buy it at $100,000, you set a limit order. It won't happen right away, but if the price drops to $100,000, the trade happens automatically.
What if the price drops to $101,000? Then does your order get filled?
Nope.
It doesn't. Okay.
And a stop order, on the other hand, is more about protection. Let's say you bought Bitcoin at $100,000 and you don't want to lose too much if it crashes. So you set a stop order at $95,000. So if it falls to that price, it automatically sells to limit your losses.
And what if it drops to only $96,000? What happens? Does it sell?
Nope.
It doesn't. Okay. Talk to me now about the trading pair that you mentioned. What makes Coinbase Advanced special with that trading pair?
So a trading pair is when you exchange one currency for another, like Bitcoin to US dollars or Bitcoin to Ethereum. On Coinbase Basic, most trading pairs are crypto to fiat,
What is fiat?
like crypto to fiat is like regular money, like dollars, euros, pounds, yen,
All right.
and many more. And but on Coinbase Advanced, you get access to way more trading pairs, including crypto to crypto, like swapping Ethereum directly for Solana.
Okay, I understand. And you talked about the staking, and the Coinbase offers the staking service. What is staking and why people do it?
Oh, staking is when you lock up your crypto, like Ethereum, to help support the blockchain network. In return, you earn rewards in more crypto, not cash.
Mhm.
People like it because the returns can be pretty attractive. But there's a trade-off. Your coins are usually locked for a certain period,
How long?
so you can't use or sell
How
them right away. It could be like from 1 week to 2 weeks to a month, or sometimes even 6 months to 1 year.
Yeah, remind me those if it's there are some stakings with some crypto that is 1 to 2 years. Which crypto is that? Do you remember?
Ethereum,
Yeah, it's with Ethereum does this kind of long term as well, if I remember correctly. Back when I used to really trade more often. All right. So thank you so much for answering the questions. Now we can move to the board members. Why don't you get us started with the most important ones? The first one is Brian Armstrong. You can start with that.
all right, let's talk about the brains behind Coinbase, starting with the top three people on the board.
Mhm.
First up is Brian Armstrong. He's the co-founder and CEO.
And pretty much he's the face of Coinbase, right?
Yes, he is. Since 2012, he's taken it from a startup to the biggest crypto exchange in the US.
And even got it listed on Nasdaq.
Yup. Then there's Fred Urson, another co-founder. He left Coinbase, but didn't slow down. He went on to start Paradigm, one of the biggest crypto venture capital firms out there.
He's also huge in Web3 investing, by the way.
And rounding out to the top three is Fred Wilson.
Mhm.
He's a legend in the tech world, co-founder of Union Square Ventures and one of Coinbase's earliest believers.
Yeah, I think he's been in the as a board member since 2017. That's like 8 years ago. All right, why don't you continue with the rest of the board members, but quickly, Marlon.
All right, you've got Mark Andreessen from A16Z, Toby Lutke, the Shopify CEO,
Wow.
and Kelly Kramer, who's on the board of Snowflake, Gilead, and Figma. Chris Lahane came from Airbnb and now works at OpenAI. Gokul Rajaram helped grow DoorDash and now is a big-time angel investor. Paul Clement is a top Supreme Court lawyer. And Krista Davies, the finance boss at Aon and sits on the boards of Stripe and Workday.
Well, yeah, that board is packed with top names, and I can see that there are a lot of great companies representation here, from Gilead to Snowflake to Figma, like all these software companies as a service, DoorDash, the food delivery, to obviously OpenAI. There are a couple of venture funds here. I can see Workday, Stripe, or even a Supreme Court lawyer, appellate lawyer. That is fantastic. So now let's talk about the C-suite, Marlon. And as you know, C-suite is different than the board. And you don't have to
Mhm.
talk much about Brian because we already discussed Brian Armstrong.
One quick note.
Mm-hmm.
Before launching Coinbase, he worked at Airbnb,
Uh-huh.
which helped shape his product thinking and focus on user experience.
Yeah, I think Airbnb was a great playing ground for him to learn and get that experience and apply it to Coinbase later on. Okay.
Next up, Alessia Haas,
Mm-hmm.
the Chief Financial Officer. She joined in 2018 and oversees all things money, strategy, planning, and financial operations. She played a huge role in Coinbase's IPO.
Yeah, he even obviously took roles in great firms like Goldman Sachs, which is a fantastic company, as well as Main Financial. Yeah.
Yes, she does. Then we've got Emily Choi, the president and COO.
Mhm.
She also joined in 2018 and drives business development, operations, and strategy.
Mhm.
Before Coinbase, she held leadership roles at LinkedIn and Yahoo.
Mhm.
LJ Brock is the chief people officer. He leads hiring, team culture, and internal systems. He's got over 20 years of experience and worked at Citadel and Red Hat.
Citadel.
And finally, Paul Grewal, the chief legal officer. He handles everything from compliance to government relations.
He was also previously VP at Facebook and even served as a US magistrate judge in California. Wow, a judge. That is cool. So yeah, I can see that the representation of the C-suite is also very strong, very solid. You have obviously experience coming in from like places like Airbnb, Goldman Sachs, Citadel, as you mentioned. You have Facebook, Yahoo, One Main Financial, LinkedIn, and Red Hat, or even a judge. So wow, it's a solid C-suite. All right, why don't we now switch gears to talk about the USP and the competitive advantage? First of all, what does USP stands for and what is it exactly?
Unique selling proposition.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 second, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's in other words, competitive advantage, right?
Yep.
All right, so get us started.
First, first, Coinbase is way better when it comes to following US rules and regulations.
Mhm.
They've done the work to stay legal and compliant, which builds way more trust, especially compared to platforms like Binance.
Oh, Binance, which gotten into a lot of trouble in the United States, right? And we'll talk about that later. I will ask you a question about this.
Second, they're built for big companies too, not just regular users. They've got special tools like Coinbase Prime and Coinbase Custody that offer super secure trading and storage.
That's definitely an advantage because most crypto companies really cannot compete at that level that Coinbase is offering.
You're right. Third, Coinbase is actually a public company on NASDAQ.
Mhm.
That's a big deal because public companies have to be super transparent. They have to show their numbers, follow strict rules, and can't hide stuff.
Yeah, that makes people, institutions or us, investors, trust them even more.
Yup. Next, it's also one of the most household names in crypto. Like, if someone's new to the space, Coinbase is probably the first app they hear about.
What do you mean by household name? Can you tell me some examples?
Like, people say Kleenex instead of tissue, Band-Aid instead of bandage, and Google instead of search.
Yeah, so the brand name becomes somehow the category name in the people's mind. Of course, most of them are US examples, but with the exception of Google, I would say.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And finally, they've made it very simple to move money between your bank and your crypto account,
Mhm.
thanks to their partnerships with traditional financial companies.
Mhm. So that smooth experience is one of the biggest reasons why people stick with Coinbase, if you ask me. So yeah, I agree with you. Those USPs are very powerful USPs, and that's why it's very difficult to copy them, especially in the United States, right? So that's a very powerful
Mhm.
thing. And you mentioned about Binance, so I want us to walk us through. I mean, I want you to walk us through a bit about what happened to Binance in the United States, and why they face so much trouble. Can you please tell us, please, on this?
So Binance has gotten into serious trouble in the US
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
They let people trade without proper ID checks, helped some users avoid restrictions, and didn't do enough to stop bad actors from using their platform.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they were fined over $4 billion, and their CEO had to step down. Unlike Coinbase, which works closely to US regulators, Binance kind of did things their own way, and it caught up with them.
Ouch. I mean, that probably sting and that hurts because, the reputation of, Binance in the US suffered, obviously, and CEO had to step down. That is a big price to pay. So yeah, and that's a good learning for Binance. So what about, you mentioned Coinbase Prime and Coinbase Custody. Could you please explain those two terms and those two products for us?
So Coinbase Prime is a special service for big institutions like hedge funds or banks
Mhm.
that want to trade crypto in a serious way.
Mhm.
It gives them pro tools, deeper liquidity, and better prices.
What about Coinbase Custody?
Coinbase custody is all about safety. That it's where they store large amounts of crypto in super secure offline storage. It's kind of like a digital vault.
Mhm.
So if you're managing millions in crypto, this is where you keep it safe.
Of course, people like you and I, we don't need this service. This is for big institutions that are, buying and storing large amounts of coin. They need this kind of a regulated and super safe kind of a vault, digital vault, as you mentioned. So yeah, I thanks for the explanation. All right, now we are going to move to the key initiatives, a couple of key initiatives that really worked for Coinbase. And I believe you have three here. So why don't you get us started with the first one, Marlon?
Yeah. Coinbase has been working on some big projects to
Mhm.
stay ahead of the game. Here
Mhm.
are three core ones.
Mhm.
First, they created Coinbase Custody. It's like a digital vault where big companies can safely store their crypto.
Explain.
They
Yeah,
followed super strict
correct. So,
rules. Yeah.
and it's over $10 billion in crypto, by the way. They currently store with them, and big players really trust them. So let's move to the second one.
So yeah, they created they actually moved everything to Amazon's cloud system,
Huh?
AWS.
How did this really help Coinbase, this cloud system?
This made everything faster, cheaper, and easier to grow. It saved them money, and now they can launch new features quicker and handle way more users.
Makes sense.
And third, they made a bold move by buying a company called Deribit.
Yeah, you mentioned in the first slide. What does Deribit do exactly?
This lets Coinbase offer crypto futures trading,
Hmm.
which is kind of like betting on where crypto prices are headed.
Yeah, I believe they paid around $2.9 billion to acquire this company, and now they have this really big competitive advantage versus, those biggest global platforms out there. So, okay, interesting. They're building, they're improving, they're expanding fast. Before I move forward, Marlon, why don't you talk about, you mentioned also OpenSea in the beginning, the NFT platform. And I believe also in the first slide, there were two other things like Alchemy and Consensus. So, what are these companies?
Yeah, Coinbase has invested in some pretty big Web3 companies.
Hmm?
First, there is OpenSea.
What does OpenSea do?
That's the world's biggest marketplace for NFTs like digital art and collectibles.
Yeah, I remember actually visiting that website when it was launched. It was a big deal. There was so much hype around it. And what's next?
Then there's alchemy.
What do they do?
It's like the behind the scenes tech that helps developers build blockchain apps.
Like kind of like the AWS that you were mentioning, yeah, but for crypto.
Right. And finally, consensus.
What does consensus do?
It builds important tools for Ethereum, including MetaMask, one of the most popular crypto wallets out there.
Ah, yeah, MetaMask. I used to use MetaMask when I was trading a lot. It's a software wallet.
Mhm. My dad used to use it.
Ah, that's cool. Okay, so now you mentioned Web3. What is Web3 for our audience, if you can explain it?
All right, let's break it down. But first, let me explain what Web 1 and Web 2 are.
Fair enough.
So, Web 1 was like the read only internet.
Like the websites in 90s.
Exactly. You could go online, read stuff, but you couldn't really interact.
Mm-hmm.
And Web 2 is what we mostly use today, the social internet. You could post, like, comment, and more.
Like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, and all these things, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but there's a catch. Big companies own all your data.
Not cool.
Definitely not. But then there's Web3, which is the next step, the ownership internet. It uses blockchain, so you actually own your stuff.
You mean like crypto NFTs that you mentioned, or even like your profile eventually, right? It's about freedom, it's about privacy, it is about control. Can you say that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thanks for the information. Now, the next question I want to ask you, because we talked about AWS a lot, right? And the cloud and all that. So, what exactly do we mean by this?
So, the cloud isn't some magical place in the sky. It just means using someone else's powerful computers, usually big tech companies like Amazon, Google, or Microsoft, to store data and run apps over the internet.
Okay, fair enough.
Instead of Coinbase buying and managing thousands of physical servers in one location, they use Amazon Web Services, AWS, to
Obviously, it's much
handle it for them.
Yeah, sorry, obviously much cheaper than, storing it like physically in servers and renting a place and then electricity and all that crazy stuff. Instead, what do? Of course, you cannot run away from the electricity cost, but instead you're having it on the cloud, which makes it faster, more secure, and handle way more users when it comes to scaling.
Yes, and without building the whole thing from scratch, it
Mm.
lets you let them like scale up quickly whenever demand spikes.
So in short, the cloud is like renting super powerful computers over the internet to run your business better. Can we say that?
Yep.
All right, now let's move to key competitors. So why don't we start with these three key competitors, Marlon?
All right, let's dive into Coinbase's key competitors.
Mhm.
Starting with slide one.
Okay.
First, we've got Binance, the biggest crypto exchange in the world. It offers way more coins than Coinbase, over 350. And in 2024, it made nearly $17 billion in revenue.
Wow, it's still huge. It's the biggest, I believe. But despite all that, as we discussed before, it's been into a lot of trouble in the United States in the legal and regulatory scene, right?
Exactly, which is where Coinbase wins in terms of trust and compliance.
Mm-hmm.
Next is Kraken, a US-based exchange known for top-level security. It supports over 200 240 coins and had $1.5 billion in revenue in 2024, growing fast.
So why would somebody choose Kraken, for example, over Binance? Like, what's special about them?
It's great for users who want both secure and flexible platform.
Right. And I think they were holding roughly around $43 billion in customer assets. It's not small. Yeah.
Yeah. Then there's Gemini, started by the Winklevoss twins. It's based in New York and focuses on staking and payment tools like Gemini Pay.
I always love that last name, Winklevoss. Winklevoss twins. Yeah. And in 2024, I believe they made around $142 million. But there is a catch. They had a loss over $158 million, which means they're still trying to catch up in the profitability race here.
True. Now let's look at slide 2, the broader market view.
Mm-hmm.
From the pie chart, you see Binance holds the biggest share at 38% of the market. Coinbase is behind at about 7% with $6.6 billion in revenue.
And what are some other major players?
Like Crypto.com, known for passive and actually massive sponsorships and being an all-in crypto app.
Mm-hmm. They also have
Gate.io,
Gate.io. Tell me.
strong in altcoins and deep in Asian markets.
Right. Gate.io is a lot to do with the Asian markets. That's where they have their credibility. Sorry, I was going to say that I used OKX and Bybit before, and OKX is very big in derivatives and Web3 tools, as we discussed Web3 before. And Bybit is a fast-growing, favorite for advanced traders that are focusing on leverage. And you have Kraken again here. As we said, is well known for safety, regulatory, and fiat support, especially in Europe and the United States.
So overall, while Binance rose in size, Coinbase stands out in regulation, brand trust, and US leadership.
We can say followed by Kraken, and in Asia, the king is the Gate.io. Excellent. Let's now move to the numbers, shall we? How is the company doing, Marlon? Let's start with the revenue by geography, this amazing slide you made.
Let's start by taking a look at where Coinbase is making its money from. And spoiler alert, the US absolutely dominates.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2024, Coinbase made about $6.6 billion total in revenue. Out of that, a massive $5.46 billion came just from the United States. That's around 83% of their total income.
So clearly, US is their stronghold. While sounds like a good thing, it is actually a risk because they're putting most of their eggs in the same basket.
Oh yeah. And the United Kingdom is next at $300 million, about 4.6%. Then you've got the European Union at $250 million, with users mostly from places like Germany, France, and the Netherlands.
Okay, cool. What about the rest of the world?
Other regions like Canada, Australia, Singapore, and Brazil all contribute to smaller slices, each making up around 1 to 2% of all revenue. There's also a group labeled Other Regions, which includes parts of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, together pulling another $150 million.
So basically, Coinbase is growing obviously around the world. However, they're still highly reliant on the US, being the 83% of the business, both in users, also not just revenue. All right. Now, let's dive into the last 3 years' performance of Coinbase. This is a very beautiful slide, and I love the commentary you put here. I read them before. So why don't you get us started on this slide?
All right, let's break down how Coinbase has been doing year by year.
Okay.
And trust me, it's been a wild ride.
Okay.
Let's start with 2022. And yeah, it was brutal.
Why? What happened?
The crypto market crashed hard, prices fell, trading slowed.
So that probably hit Coinbase right in the gut.
Exactly. They made about $3.19 billion in revenue, but still ended up with a massive net loss of $2.6 billion.
Wow.
They also burned cash like crazy. Negative cash flow over $3.3 billion and gross margins dropped too.
Yeah, I remember it was what people called crypto winter, very famous. And Coinbase definitely got snowed under.
I guess
Mm-hmm.
now jump to 2023 and things started to warm up. Revenue is still flat, $3.1 billion, but they turned things right with smart moves.
Like what?
Coinbase started cutting costs, offering new services like staking and stablecoins, and being more efficient.
I can see that here that it really helped their net margin bounce back to 3.1%. And for the first time in a while, free cash flow turned positive at around $340 million.
Not amazing, but definitely a solid recovery. And then came 2024. Boom! Everything exploded.
Like how?
Thanks to Bitcoin ETFs and a new bull run, revenue more than doubled. $6.6 billion. A 111% jump.
A 111%. Wow. I mean, look at their gross margins too, right? It shot up to 87%, and the net margin hit 39.3%, and they ended the year with 2.2 billion in free cash flow. Not bad.
Yes, and that's a 547% jump from the year before.
Wow.
They also loaded up on cash, nearly $10 billion in cash, and short-term investment now sitting on the balance sheet.
So what does it all mean? I mean, Coinbase went from deep red losses in 2022 to recovery in 2023, getting out of that crypto winter slowly and to supercharged profitability in 2024. What does it show? It shows how tied the business to the crypto market. It's very volatile. It's all directly correlated with the crypto market. When things are hot, they make serious money. But when the market crashes, they bleed hard. All right. So really impressive turnaround, I would say. So now let's move on to the Coinbase's performance over the last 4 quarters to see the trend, what's going on with the latest trend. And did the company continue to accelerate, Marlon?
1 second, please.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a green slide mostly, but
So Coinbase's revenue surged
mm-hmm.
every single quarter year over year,
Mm-hmm.
with quarter four hitting a record $2.2 billion, up 141% year over year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about quarter four. Yeah, it's reached almost 2.2 billion. That is correct. 141%. Wow. What about profitability?
So net income also peaked in quarter four at $29 billion, like $1.29 billion,
Yeah.
which is the highest quarterly profit they've ever posted.
Mhm.
Margins stayed super healthy too, and with gross margins consistently hovering around 85 to 86%.
Wow, that is fantastic. So what does that imply exactly?
It shows they controlled costs really well, even while volumes changed.
The volumes change, yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, as the volume increases, you get better economies of scale. I mean, that's not debatable. And free cash flow also followed this uptrend, reaching to almost 1 billion in quarter four. Strong cash generation indeed.
Yeah. But in quarter one, 2025, the pace cooled off.
Hmm.
Revenue dropped slightly to $2 billion. The net income fell sharply to just $66 million, which is a 94% decline from quarter four.
Wow. And free cash flow actually turned negative, $182 million. Means what exactly?
It means they spent more cash than they made. Gross margins also slipped a little to 84.6%, though it's still strong overall.
I mean, that is very strong. As I always tell you, like anything above 80% is magical number. Yeah, so yeah, they did accelerate for most of the year. But starting in Q1 2025, there's a clear sign of what we call post-peak pressure after that massive crypto surge that happened in the late 2024. Everybody remembers, I believe. Now, the real question is for me, can they keep this momentum going on in a more stable market or not? All right, let's switch gears now and move to the SWOT analysis. Marlon, why don't you start explaining what is SWOT, first of all, and then carry on with the rest, please.
Sure, SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Mhm.
Starting with strength, first is strong brand and public trust. A lot of people feel safe using Coinbase.
Yeah, especially compared to those other sketchy platforms that you want to steer away from.
Yes. Second is regulatory leader in the US. They're one of the few big exchanges that actually follow US laws carefully.
Absolutely, yeah. You have then Kraken and the crypto.com, they also follow, indeed, which gives them obviously a strong reputation.
Third is multiple revenue streams. They don't just make money from trading. They've got staking, subscriptions, and even blockchain services.
Indeed.
Fourth is institutional services. Big financial companies use Coinbase Prime and custody.
As we discussed,
Fifth is it owns its own blockchain.
which is called Base, right?
Yep,
Yeah, Coinbase launched its own blockchain network, basically.
giving them more control over how things run.
All right, now let's move to weaknesses.
First, high retail fee. If you're a regular user, you
Mhm.
might find Coinbase more expensive compared to others.
All right, fair enough.
Second is US centric revenue.
Yeah, as we discussed,
Most of their money still comes from the US.
83.2%. That's risky if things go wrong locally in the United States.
Yup, there it is. Regulatory leader uncertainty.
Mhm.
Even though they follow the rules themselves are still kind of unclear.
And it's keep changing. It's a very changing, very dynamic situation. So these rules and regulations. So it's very hard to predict. Well said. And I think the fourth is, let me help you, crypto dependency. If the crypto market crashes, Coinbase gets obviously hit really hard, as we saw it in 2022, if you remember. And the fifth is the limited altcoin listings, those smaller, coins. They're cautious with what coins they list, but this can become a disadvantage, especially for advanced users of crypto.
Yep. Now let's move to opportunities.
Mhm.
First, expand in Africa and Asia.
Tons of untapped opportunities there, I can tell you.
Yep. Second is grow subscriptions, stakings, and USDC.
Yeah, these are steady income streams, and they're less volatile compared to the likes of tradings. So in that way, I think it's really steady.
True.
Yeah, let me help. Third is tokenizing real world assets, like, as we said, like real estate or art. You can turn them into tradable crypto tokens. That is a fantastic idea, very smart idea. Fourth is lead in DeFi, decentralized finance, which, as we said, with their own blockchain, right?
Base.
Base. Yeah, correct. It could become a hub for decentralized finance. I mean, this is especially in the United States.
Fifth is M&A and partnerships. Coinbase can go fast by buying smaller companies or teaming up with big players.
Yes, M&A stands for mergers and acquisitions. Yeah. Okay. Now let's move to threats. First is global regulatory risk. Rules could change fast, as I said, in different countries, creating big headaches.
Second is aggressive competition. Binance, Kraken, OKX, they're fighting for more market share.
Mhm.
Third is USDC reliance. If anything goes wrong with USDC, the stablecoin they support, it could hurt Coinbase bad.
I agree. Fourth is cybersecurity threats, which are like hackers are always looking ways to break into the crypto platforms. And yeah,
And finally, slowing user growth. If
mhm.
fewer people, like if fewer new people join crypto, Coinbase could stall.
The growth could stall, you mean? Yeah, exactly. All right. Now let's move to Tam, Sam, and Song, one of your favorite exercises. So, sounds like a rap group, by the way, like from the 90s, Tam, Sam, Song. So, but I know it's not. So, break it down for us, please.
Definitely not a rap trio, but just as powerful if you're building a business like Coinbase. Here's the deal. Starting with TAM, total addressable market. This is the biggest possible market. Everyone in the world who might ever buy, sell, or use crypto.
Yeah, for example, from big banks to your neighbor who just heard about Bitcoin last week.
In 2024, the TAM was around $110 billion.
Mhm.
By 2030, expected to hit $470 billion, growing 27% a year. Huge.
Yeah. Okay. So Tam, think like of it like a whole pizza, right? But the Coinbase can't eat the whole thing, right?
Exactly. That's why we check SAM, which means serviceable addressable market.
Yes,
This is the part of the pizza Coinbase can actually reach.
I agree. So can you define the customer for us in this case, customers for Sam?
Yeah, SAM customers are real people and institutions in countries where Coinbase is legally allowed to operate, like the US, UK, and parts of Europe.
Mhm.
And they can also use Coinbase's core services like trading, staking, custody, and payments because it's approved in their region.
Great. And I can see that Sam in 2024 was $65 billion, and 2030 projection takes it to a whopping $321 billion.
Growing even faster than ham, 30% a year,
How is that even possible?
because more countries are getting crypto friendly.
Makes sense. I mean, so it's like we sliced a chunk of the pizza, but still haven't taken a bite yet. So we're just projecting it, right? And
Yep.
what some?
SOM stands for serviceable, attainable market.
That sounds serious.
That's the bite Coinbase is actually chewing on right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And
Well, uh,
so some,
mm,
what is the
mhm.
sum? Tell me when it comes to Coinbase.
So the sum is like $6.6 billion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Equal to the revenue they made in 2024, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And the 2030 target is $15 billion, I believe.
Yes, growing 15% a year. Slower but solid.
Yeah, exactly. So Coinbase is playing in a growing space, as you can see, and their actual slice of the pizza is really expanding. And if they can keep scaling at this, then the sum will eventually get closer to the SAM, to the pizza they're entitled to, the parts of the pizza they're entitled to.
And who knows, maybe someday the whole pizza.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, let's switch to something more fun now, like the Coinbase launches that you prepared very nicely here. We're not going to go through the links, but just explain us quickly a few of the best ones that you are referring here, Marlon.
All right. First one is the Super Bowl ad from 2022.
What was special about this ad?
Oh, that one was crazy. The strategy was just so simple. They
Mhm.
dropped it during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, just when everybody was excited about crypto, I remember, they also pushed it through online. They took advantage of it and pushed it through online through all their channels.
Yup, but there was no talking, no actors, just the QR code bouncing on a black screen.
Yeah, like those DVD screensavers, right?
Well, I've only heard of them, but that was the execution. A colorful QR code just floating around. If you scanned it, boom, you got a landing page offering $15 in free Bitcoin.
And a chance to win up to $3 million. It's minimalist, but genius at the same time, if you ask me.
Exactly. That's why it worked. It made people so curious. Everyone's like, wait, what's this? They paused their Super Bowl party just to scan it, and it felt super internety and cool.
And what about the results?
Over 20 million hits in under a minute. Their app went like from 186th place to second place.
Wow. And they got almost 500,000 new signups. That's not small. It even won like these awards called Ken Lions. Yeah, not bad for a bouncing square.
For real, sometimes less really is more.
I agree. All right, let's talk about something more serious now, like the ones with the CEO, right? The ad.
Yup, it's called Moving America Forward.
Yeah, and what was the strategy of this ad?
The strategy was national TV during big shows and YouTube. It felt like a public service
And
message.
what was the message?
So the execution was four ads with CEO Brian Armstrong talked about how crypto can fix old money problems.
Money systems, yeah, and like giving power back to people and making money work better, right? So
Yep,
very educational, if you ask me.
yeah. It worked because it showed crypto as a serious, future looking thing, not just a hype trend.
What impact did it have, Marlon?
It made Coinbase look like a leader, not like they're just into crypto, like they're shaping the future of money.
That's a good answer. All right, let's continue with the one that was aired in United States. Crypto is for everyone. What was the plan there?
Okay, it's called 2024 National TV Campaign.
Okay, cool. What was the strategy?
So the strategy was to make crypto look normal. They went on TV during NBA games and shared it online too.
A smart way to hit both sports fans as well as the social media people. What about the execution?
They showed everyday people, like a truck restorer, a shop owner, a busy mom, all using crypto to fix old money problems, like high card fees or slow transfers. It felt super real
Why did that work?
because it made crypto relatable,
Hmm.
not techy or scary. Just here's how this can actually help you.
Yeah, and the results?
It boosted trust big time. Even though they didn't share the numbers, it helped people see Coinbase as a go-to place for regular folks, not just finance geeks.
Nice, nice. Okay, now the spicy one, the banned ad in the UK.
Yeah, the strategy was to grab attention through UK TV and online, but they did not just do it with a musical. It was actually kind of dark.
Dark how?
It looked cheerful, but showed problems like traffic, pollution, people getting fired. The message was if everything's fine, then don't change it. But it really meant everything's not fine.
That was the underlying message. It's a bold move.
Totally. That's why it worked. It got people talking, even though regulators banned it for not warning about crypto risks.
So did that ban work? I mean, or did it kind of backfired?
Yeah, it made the ad even more viral. Loads of media buzz, people curious, sharing it everywhere.
All right. Now moving to the next ad, the cool digital one with the ASC2 graphics.
Oh yeah, that one was slick. The strategy was super simple. 30-second TV ad plus social media push.
Yeah, and how did they bring it to life?
They showed everyday struggles with old banking, like slow payments or paperwork. Then boom, the crypto enters as the update, like software for money.
Clever metaphor.
Yup, it worked because it was modern, quick, and super clear. Young people totally got it.
And what were the results?
It boosted Coinbase's image as fresh and future ready, made them look like the cool kid in finance.
Great. Thank you so much for putting up these examples, Marlon. Now let's go. And after all that deep dive into the Coinbase's business, which you did amazingly and explained it to us, let's get to what investors really care about and want to hear, right? The share performance. So what is your thought process? What's your comments and what's the verdict?
So in the past 5 years, it's kind of meh. Coinbase stock is down about 4.38% since IPO.
Mhm.
So not great if you've been holding long term.
Yeah, ouch. But that's just the big picture. What about the recent performance?
Oh, now that's a different story. In the past 1 year, Coinbase is up 65.2%. That's huge. They've clearly earned investor trust back.
Nice rebound. And what about year to date?
Also solid, up 31.7% this year. So the company's recent growth and executions are definitely showing up in the share price.
But I see a red number here. What is this? What's going on with the last month?
Yeah, it's down 70% in the past month, but honestly, that's probably just profit taking after
Mhm.
such a big run up. Some people are cashing out. Nothing too alarming, right?
Yeah, fair point. A little correction after a great year doesn't change the momentum. In fact, it's good. So it, kind of brings a new balance, creates a new base from there to move higher. All right. And now, the moment we've all been waiting for, Mr. Marlon Alano, our five-star Black Mesa analyst, Wall Street analyst, is going to tell us his final verdict on Coinbase. So the stage is yours, sir.
All right, Sezgi,
Hmm?
here's my take. I think Coinbase is a long-term buy. Why? Because crypto isn't just some hype anymore. It's getting more legit.
Hmm?
Like regular people, big companies, and even governments are starting to use it.
Okay, but what gives Coinbase the edge?
A few things. First, lots of new users are joining, retail and big institutions.
Mhm.
Second, they don't just rely on trading fees. They make money from staking, custody, payments, and even derivatives now.
Mhm.
Third, they're one of the most regulation-friendly platforms out there. That's huge.
Mhm. And
And then, fourth, they're growing fast internationally. And finally, they've built a strong brand that people actually trust.
so if I had to sum everything that you said up, Black Mesa says, obviously, Marlon's giving Coinbase a buy rating. Yeah, and it's not just about hype, but real execution and long-term potential are the reasons behind your decision.
Exactly.
Well, Marlon, honestly, great job. Like putting together the presentation, validating it, doing your due diligence, wording it correctly, having the right flow, and then here with us presenting it in the right way. Your communication, your body language, your passion, everything is perfect. So you truly presented it to us like a five-star investor and an analyst. So thank you so much for all the effort that you have made and see you soon in another deep dive with another podcast.
Thank you.